What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast. I am your host, Chris Raybon, and this is our 2025 AFC preview part 2. We'll go over the AFC West and the AFC North. And here to break everything down with me, none other than the Prime Minister of Degenerate Nation, Stuckey. Stuck, what's going on?
What's up, man? Excited to talk some AFC West, my nemesis Chiefs as a Ravens fan, and the AFC North with the Ravens. Got two of the best teams in the NFL here, and then some intriguing other ones. So, really excited to get into both these divisions.
Yeah, it could be somewhat of both of these divisions could be somewhat of a gauntlet, maybe outside of the Cleveland Browns in the North, but maybe the Raiders. We'll talk about them. Let's start AFC West. Let's start where we always start. Kansas City Chiefs. The O-line, is it going to be better? Is that because that was the issue? They got to the Super Bowl. They got really lucky last year, but you know they're going to be there when it all matters, when it's all said and done. So let's just start with the O-line stuff. How are you feeling about the rookie and the changes on the O-line heading into this year?
Yeah, I mean, their offense has just deteriorated over the years, and the big problem, part of it's been the weapons, part of it's been the running game. I mean, go back to 2022. They were top 10 yards per carry. They were bottom 5 last year. There's just no running game to speak of. And like they don't even really address it. Like it's just going to be Pacheco.
Just go Pacheco and Hunt again.
So like there's just no help there. And then the weapons haven't been great. The offensive line has been great. So like there's been no explosiveness at all in the passing game. And that used to be a hallmark of Mahomes. But like go back to 2022, back to his first year, he averaged close to 9 yards per attempt. It was under 7 last year. But the hope is Rice, we'll see when he's suspended. My conspiracy theory is they appealed that so he would be suspended weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8. 3 home games in there at the Jags. Get him for the first 4, which includes Baltimore at home. Get him for week 9, which includes the Bills. And obviously those are the 2 biggest games in the schedule for 1 seed. So it's smart if that's what's their plan. But you want Worthy, Brown, Rice healthy. And I mean, I like Royals. I loved him out of college. Maybe he can provide some stuff, and Thornton maybe like gives them some more deep threats. But like they weren't healthy at all at receiver. Those guys didn't play together at all. So that's the hope. And then the hope is the offensive line gets fixed because they need their weapons to be better. The running game's not going to be great. And Kelsey's washed. I mean, he's not the same guy. He's nowhere close. And so the offensive line, like, who's going to be that left guard? Is it going to be Sumatea? Is it going to be Caliendo? Because you got to replace a good one. And then the left tackle spot is it good? It looks like it's going to be the rookie Simmons, who looks good and hearing good things, but we'll see. Jawan Taylor still has his deficiencies, but I think it'll be better. The weapons should be healthier and better. We'll see if they can actually get some explosiveness. But yeah, I mean, this is a team last year that went 15-2. Their Pythagorean win was 10.2. Largest overperformance ever. They went 11-0 in one possession games, 12-0 if you include the playoffs. But that's kind of what the Chiefs do, right? You have Reed, you have Mahomes. That's a little extreme. And they're probably going to have some regression in one-score games, like the way that they won some of these games. Go back to the Raiders game was insane. But even if they have some regression, I think maybe it cost them 3 games. It still win. Their win total is 11.5. All Reed does is go over. Maybe they win 12. They're I think like close to 50-20 in one possession games with Reed and Mahomes. You got Butker, you got Spagnuolo, you got Reed, you got Mahomes. You're going to win more one possession games than not. They also only have 7 true road games. You get that a game where you should go on the road in the division, but you're playing on a neutral. That's very bizarre and helps them. The defense, it's the one thing I worry about is the defense has been so healthy for like 5 straight years. Does that change? We'll see if their rookies can help. I think their pass rush will be better, but Gelati, Norman Lott, we'll see if they can help contribute. But I have some questions about the secondary. You lose Reed; he's a steadying force. Connor moving back to safety. I don't love Fulton. Watson's the key. He's got to get back to his old form that we've seen when he flashed. You still have McDuffie. We'll see how they use him. One of the best in the NFL. Maybe Williams, the rookie, can help contribute. The secondary, I still have some questions about. The linebackers clean up so much because their defensive line's probably not going to be great in just like stuffing runs. But yeah, they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL. Probably going to turn it on for the playoffs. Probably have some close game regression. We'll see if the defense can stay healthy because, like I said, they've been very healthy. And there's like certain guys they really need to stay healthy. Like they can't lose. Like they can't lose Chris Jones. You really don't want to lose one of your linebackers or have injuries there. Like they're solid, but the depth is very questionable. You don't want to lose like McDuffie. So we'll see if they can stay healthy. But I just want to see some more explosiveness from this offense. I think the offensive line will be better. The weapons should be healthier and better. But they're probably not going to get much help from the run game. But yeah, still one of the best teams in the NFL. Pretty tough schedule. But I project them 11-7, which is. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong team. I project them 11 on the dot.
Yeah, I'm about to say I'm about 10-9.
I project them 11 on the dot. Their implied win total is like 11-3, 11-2-5. So I would lean under. But like, do I want to bet Reed and Mahomes under? Like, probably not. Yeah, probably be in the playoffs, be the team to beat again. But certainly some questions that are worth monitoring in the 1 seed. Like, will they get the 1 seed? They play the Bills, they play the Ravens. Those two games will go a long way in determining what will happen. But the division's tougher. Like there's not doormats anymore in this division, and the Raiders should be better. But lean under, probably not going to play it. All Reed does is go over the win total.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's slow. It's going to start. It's starting to slow down a little bit with that. I do think they're overpriced win total wise. I think the way I'm looking.
What do you project them at?
10-9.
Okay.
I think the schedule's tough, and there's always going to be some fragility there with it. They're going to be an overpriced team, just how good they've been this entire Reed Mahomes era. So like at some point you would figure that regresses. I think it's starting to happen, but I'm looking at losing the conference championship game, plus 550, win the Super Bowl plus 850, lose the Super Bowl plus 950. Somewhere in there, I think is your sweet spot because one way or another, I think this team still gets at least to the conference championship. Like that's what they do in the Mahomes era. They're going to get there. Now, it depends on the Ravens, the Bills. Maybe they knock them out in the division round, but I don't want to, that's plus 310, but I think it's worth the bet to just bet on the Chiefs to kind of do what they usually do, even though I think regular season is going to be tougher. But I do like the upside pass catching wise. I think they're going to just throw it around the yard with Mahomes, and maybe it's not going to be a 2022 type season or a 2018 type season, but it has to be at least something in the middle of 2022 and 2024. And I think they can do that with Rice for 12-ish games. Worthy, Marquise Brown, it's kind of a wild card, but I think Royals being there really helps because it gives them some more upside there at receiver, which I just don't think they had with Sky Moore and and the like of guys who was Justin Ross or whatever. So I mean that was my biggest complaint about them a couple years ago. I mean they were Kadarius Toney and McCole Hardman Jr. I mean it was just disastrous at wide receiver. I like that they got Noah Gray. He can be their regular season tight end, and they could just dust Kelsey off for the playoffs. And who knows? Maybe Rashard Smith ends up making the roster after all and contributing at some point. Didn't really do as much in the preseason.
Yeah, not hearing great things about him so far. I had higher hopes for him.
Yeah, I had higher hopes from him as well. He didn't really kind of make a name for himself the way a guy like Pacheco did a couple years ago, but I'm still very worried about Pacheco just because I still don't think he's what they need in the passing game. And then Hunt is not, Hunt is just like get what's blocked type of guy who it worked out for them last year, but I think they need more. So maybe they trade for somebody. Who knows? I mean, everyone's trading these days. But ultimately, I think Simmons at left tackle plus the receiving depth still means this team is super high upside, high floor with Reed and Mahomes and Spags. So I think they go at least to the AFC title game. So you could bet them to lose it, you could bet them to win it, whatever you want. But either way, I think this is an upside team. That's how I want to bet them. I think the win totals are overpriced at this point. I'm not gonna use like a thing that happens once every year as a sample for win totals when there's so much kind of going on. But I'm a lot more confident just because it's a lot harder to do in terms of just going to that conference championship pretty much year in, year out. All right, no surprises, folks. The NFL season kicks off in 2 weeks, and to get most out of the award-winning Action Network app, you're going to want an Action Pro subscription because only Pro subscribers are going to get real-time pick alerts from experts such as myself, Brandon Anderson, Stuckey, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by my guy, Sean Kerner, the odds maker. A ton of other benefits as well. So to celebrate football's return, we have got a special offer. Just go to the Action Network app or go to actionnetwork.com/pro and you can get $20 off the annual price with promo code POD20. That's POD20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code POD20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. The Broncos stuck. I know you're kind of skeptical on Bo Nix, right? But I like the way it's setting up in Denver. I think they've been very smart about building this team up, and I think, with Nix kind of exceeding expectations last year, they're positioned fairly well because they don't really rely on a ton of individuals at any position. It's more like they're a pretty balanced team. They go deep on offense and then defense. I think they're just well balanced. So what are your thoughts on Denver in terms of, first of all, kind of getting back to the playoffs, potentially challenging Kansas City, and, how do they stack up with the Chargers, who are another team that's, many people consider right there?
Yeah, I'm selling both the Broncos and the Chargers. Okay. Look, basically the Broncos, I like the Broncos a little more than the Chargers than I did compared to like 2 months ago when we did the podcast. I projected like 9 wins. So I show a little value on the under. I've come up a little bit on that. But I'm not completely sold on Nix. I mean, most of his damage was done against really bad teams or like in garbage time. And I mean, last year they beat one playoff team, which was the Tampa Bay in week 3. That was it, excluding the Chiefs. They got to play the Chiefs, who sat everybody in week 18. But there's a lot to like, I'll admit, about this team. Their offensive line was elite last year. Every player was in the top 10 of the pass block win rate on the interior and at tackle. They added Harvey, who I love, at running back. I loved him out of UCF. I love Pat Bryant, too. They just traded Vele. I think that means more looks for Bryant. You bring in Ingram, upgraded your tight end room. And so, there's a lot to like about this offense. And the defense was elite last year across the board, no matter what. And you went out, you drafted Barron, you added Greenlaw, you added Hufanga. So, and look, their run defense is really good, and that enables them to force teams into 3rd and long. They could play man with Surtain and company. They can blitz a lot, and it's very difficult for offenses. But just because their defense, like I said this before, said this in the last episode, just because their defense was elite last year doesn't mean it's all going to work. Defenses are not as consistent on a year-to-year basis as offenses. But I like what they did. But look, they were 1-6 in one-possession games last year too, and they ended up winning 10. Although they were 1-6 against playoff teams. They were also elite on special teams last year. That could regress. So the schedule's not terrible. I'm just not sold on Nix. I'm not sold that he's going to be in as beneficial of situations as he was last year. But
really,
numbers play.
Wait. Let's go back to that. Wait, what? Because I feel like Nix is going to be in much more beneficial situations in the sense that now, last year, it was a lot was on him. I mean, they had no running game. And then Marvin Mims didn't really, come on until the second half of the year. This year, he's going to be able to hand it to Dobbins and Harvey. He's going to be able to throw it to Harvey. He'll do stuff after the catch. Mims is going to be like a full-time guy. He'll do more stuff after the catch and deep. And you're going to have, another contested catch guy in Bryant. And Troy Franklin's had a great camp, from everything we hear. And it sounds like he might actually start over Bryant. And then you got Ingram could do things after the catch. So like, I think he's in a lot better situation just with the guys around him, skill position wise.
Possibly, assuming everyone stays healthy and the defense is as good as it was last year. The special teams is as good. They, their schedule breaks right as it did last year.
Talking about Roddy Moss? Oh, okay.
So we'll see if Moss starts. I don't know. We'll see what Barron can do. That could be, although I don't know if it's a great fit schematically, but
but the thing is, like, listen to like you saying you're saying you're down on them, but if you listen to yourself just now, you basically said this team has no holes, and even at the spots where it's like there's some
quarterback is still a hole, in my opinion.
I don't know how you could say it. I feel like, listen, Bo Nix might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I keep stylistically maybe, but I think he outplayed expectations. And something else is, yes, the record against the playoff teams and whatnot, but remember, Sean Payton, they started throwing a lot more. So, like, it wasn't just, we're going to hide the quarterback. Like, there were a lot of games where they were just throwing 35, 40 times. So I think he kind of went through the gauntlet last year. Everything's better for him offense-wise, and he could still run. He has a good sense of that. And I thought he got better as the year progressed. I thought he got
one game against a good team where you were like, okay, one good team. Like, think about that, how bad that Bills defense was last year in the playoffs. They couldn't do anything.
But they had no offense.
It was Nick.
Like, I'm saying, like,
Knicks, because they're quarterback. They had one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
They were throwing to Lucas Kroll and Lil Jordan Humphrey.
And Knicks looked
awful. And Javonte Williams.
But Knicks looked awful against any team with a pulse.
I mean, fair, but you got to project ahead. I think he looked good a lot last year, too, even if it's against bad teams.
It's just trash, is my point. And then, like, in garbage time. And by the way, he could also get worse in year two.
I agree. I think he has a wide range of outcomes, but I mean, this team, there's a lot of insulation around him and nothing to suggest that he's more likely, I think, to do worse than better given the additions on offense and just his play versus expectation. Because it's one thing to compare Knicks to Knicks, but versus expectation, he outplayed expectation last year. And he's got Sean Payton. It's not like just anybody.
Did. This is the team that was sitting at 5-5. And here's what Knicks and this offense did when they started throwing more at the end of the year. They played the Falcons at home. They put up 38. The Falcons had every single starter in the secondary out.
Would you rather them put up what, 20? I mean, they put up 38 like they were supposed to.
And they played the Raiders. And then they played the Browns defense, who had basically quit at that point. Played the Colts and the Gus Bradley horrendous defense.
Yeah, he threw 3 picks.
For a whopping 130, by the way.
Yeah,
he was horrendous.
That was bad.
Then they lost to the Chargers. They lost to the Bengals.
He played well against the Chargers, though, I thought.
He threw for 250. He threw for 219 against that stout Bengals defense. And then he threw for 330 when they won 38-0 against the Chiefs scout team. So, like, when he played the Chiefs early in the year, they scored 14 points. They went to Baltimore. They couldn't get double digits.
And they still won how many games?
Yeah, I'm just saying
they still won enough games to make the playoffs, right? With Bo Nix and this
quit. The Falcons had their whole secondary out. The Chiefs benched all their starters. They beat early in the year. They beat the Jets 10-9.
Yeah, that was a hard game to watch. I remember that one.
And So I think I just there's a lot to be. There's still a lot of work to do for Knicks, in my opinion.
But they did it. They brought in Pat Bryant. You love him. They brought in Harvey. You love him.
Not easy. I don't say they're bad. I project them to win 9 games. So I went under 9.
I feel like you're overly down on them for even how you're describing them, though. I think they are. I think they're a pretty high ceiling, high floor, high ceiling team. Because if you think Knicks is bad, well, the roster around him is still good enough that if you think Knicks is bad, then what is the drop off from him to who is it? Stidham? Who they got back there?
You don't even know. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Stidham, Sam Allen.
It's Stidham. Yeah, no, it's. But yeah, no, that's still a positive for the team. Like I just think it's I just think they're in a good spot. I think this Denver team, I think they're ahead of the Chargers significantly.
I agree.
What are your thoughts on the Chargers? Let's go to Chargers.
I'm the Chargers.
We could kind of circle back to Denver.
I'm selling the Chargers too. I will be betting them under 9.5. I project them 8-5. So I'm going under 9.5. I've gotten lower on them compared to the Broncos because I like Bryant. I've liked what I like the running back situation more now.
You like the entire team. Just admit it.
I don't.
You just don't like Bo Nix.
Important and the price is where I haven't power rated.
Okay, fair.
I admit I like a lot. I like what the Broncos are doing and how they're building their team. And Nix could be good. I just still have a lot of questions.
I think it's more likely he's good. I think I saw enough of it. I saw enough. I think it's like overthinking it, like to say he's more likely to be bad. I think he has a wide range of outcomes. But Chargers.
I'm going under. I project 8.5 now. Obviously, like they didn't do much to improve their defense. Their defense was really good last year, but like the only teams they beat that made the only team they beat that made the fuss was the Broncos. Anyway, so like I think they need some of the rookies to step up on defense to get back to where they were last year, like Caldwell, Kennard, Colson in his second year, McBogsby. Some of those guys I think need to hit because their defensive line looks really weak. The linebackers are okay. The secondary is just okay. You need Harton still to be like the guys on the outside because I don't think you want to be relying on St. Juste and Jackson on the outside. They were really good. Their pass D was really good last year. Were top 5 in EPA per pass. Like they didn't give up any.
Great scheme, yeah. They were well schemed on defense, I thought.
But and I like Minter, but there's probably some regression on this defense, like turnover regression, and the other thing that hurts is that I'm not sure that they really addressed their skill positions and probably going to get more 2 tight end sets with Disley and maybe Gadsden, but Conklin. You got McConkey back, but you added out Keenan Allen. What's he have left? Maybe you can hit with some of the rookies in KLS or Harris, and you need Hampton to hit at running back. And then what happens? Offensive line. You lose Slater, and that's massive.
That's massive.
I think it crushes them because now you're gonna move all to left tackle. You added Becton, Johnson, and Bozeman. It looks like they were thinking about flopping them. I don't think they are. I think it's gonna be Bozeman at center. They're okay. So the interior is okay, but now your right tackle it's gonna be Pipkins. They were gonna cut him 2 weeks ago for salary, and now who's your swing tackle? I think it's the rookie Taylor who they were gonna play at guard. So if Pipkins is so bad or someone gets hurt. I think their swing tackle might be that kid Taylor out of Pitt, who's the 6th rounder. They were going to play at guard, and then Pipkins is going to be your starting right tackle, who they were going to cut a week ago. The defensive line, I lost Bosa, Ford, Fox. They weren't great against the run. They weren't great at getting pressure. It's just a really good, well-schemed defense. I'm not sure that they can reach that same level that they did last year, and I think the offense could take a step back because of the offensive line. And then I look at their schedule. It's going to get tougher. I think they go from one of the 5 easiest to a slightly above average schedule now. And I just look at their home games. So number one, they don't have much of a home field advantage. And unlike most teams, you're we get some home games we can win. They lose 1 division home game against the Chiefs to Brazil. And the rest of their home games are the Broncos, Raiders, and the Raiders I think would be better. Washington, Minnesota, Pitt, Philly, Houston, Indianapolis. The Colts are the one that you're okay, feel good. That's a tough home schedule where you basically don't have any home field advantage. And a lot of those fan bases that I just mentioned will travel as well. So that doesn't help them. I don't see it with the Chargers this year. I'm out.
Yeah, I think this is a low floor team, and I agree. I like their under. I think the win total under. I think this is one of the. It's just one of the ways that you have to find edges in the futures market. Offensive line and depth, I think, are just those are the things that are kind of hidden beyond the surface. People are going to look at the quarterback and the coach, and what they did last year and all that stuff, but when you look at their offensive line, like you said, they lost a great tackle that shuffles everything up. They're skilled guys. They added guys, yet they still might not be better because only so many guys can play at one time. They have a bunch of still mid tight ends, I think. I mean, Gadsden might just get the Stone Smart role. Like, I don't know if he's truly going to get enough snaps early on. And then you have like J.K. Dobbins played really well last year. Omarion Hampton, Najee Harris, that combination, if Harris is even a part of it, their run game is really important. But that's not necessarily a massive upgrade either because Dobbins played so well. And Harris, I mean, he could be just like another Gus Edwards.
Yeah, it could end up being a downgrade. They're running around.
Right. Yeah, it could. Exactly. So I think they're kind of on a slippery slope. But at the same time, I do like KOS. I do think Harris was a good pick ultimately, but it's kind of the way they were using him in camp kind of was questionable. I'm surprised they're still behind Quentin Johnston this much at receiver. So like they were treating him, they rested him, treated him like a true starter. And then I know he got hurt, but we'll see what happens. But just some things offensively, I still don't know if they'll be tangibly improved enough. And then they're set up to collapse down the stretch. So this is a team where they could start well, but you look at their last 5 games: Philadelphia, at KC, at Dallas, Houston, and at Denver. Like they could exceed expectations and then still fall short of 9.5 wins. And I think Denver's better. Kansas City is Kansas City, and the Raiders are going to be better. Let's talk about them. Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, Deontay Thornton at wide receiver. Besh has been, I guess, kind of a disappointment, but you got Brock Bowers there. The line, I think, can be decent, and it's just a matter of the defense. Yeah, but so what do you think is their? I guess what is their ceiling? Because the defense is always going to be a question mark. I think the offense can be at least average, if not better than average. I think the offense might be a little underrated by the market. Actually,
I've written and circled underrated offense on my notes.
Yep.
If the offensive line stays healthy, there's a ton of potential there. I mean, Miller's good at left tackle. You got Parham at left guard. It looks like Meredith's going to start at center. Powers Johnson at right guard. I thought he was going to get the center spot, but it looks like not. And then Glaze at right tackle, who's shown some promise. And last year, they played James at center, who was bad. Mumford and Whitehair were getting starts, and they were all awful. This starting 5, has a ton of potential. And last year, who was running the ball? Now you got Genty running the ball. Offensive line, you upgraded a quarterback with Geno Smith. Oh, by the way, Geno Smith gets to play indoors, where he's much better in that dome. And I think your weapons are fine. Myers, Tucker, Thornton, and then you're going to throw a lot to your tight ends. You're the best tight end in the NFL in Bowers, and also tight end depth there. So I think the offense, Chip Kelly comes in as new offense coordinator. I think the offense, as long as the offensive line stays healthy, can be above average. Defensively, it sucks that the Wilkins stuff happened because the defensive tackles are very weak. Their defensive ends could be good with Crosby and get Kuntz back. Wilson has looked better of late, but the defensive tackle room is very weak. They overhauled their linebacker room and the defensive backfield. Linebacker, you got some veterans in there, but White is bad. Pratt is bad. Roberts is good run defender, but your defensive tackles and linebackers, they don't inspire a ton of confidence. And then in the secondary, oh man, I mean, at nickel, it looks like it's Holmes. He's bad. Are they gonna start Stokes? He's awful. They replaced Morag with Chin. That's a wash. Palomal is back, but he was bad last year. They like his trajectory. We'll see if he can improve. But they're talking about who's that? Kai Blue Kelly might get this corner spot. They need Darian Porter, who's your prototypical. He's tall, looks like a Pete Carroll corner. They need him to hit, but like was the 68th pick. He played 1 year at corner at Iowa State. He was a receiver for 3 years before then. And that's who like you want to be your best corner this year. So I think it's a good marriage with Carroll. They kept Patrick Graham, who we both like. I mean, it was amazing what he did last year. They had so many injuries. They were second most injured team on defense. They also had a minus 16 turnover margin with an awful offense, and they finished 18th DVOA on defense.
Finally, they're not in the bottom half of the league. Yeah, because it's been a minute.
Yeah, so the hope for this team, like they just need some of these guys in the secondary to hit. By the way, Carroll is like he's very good to bet the over. I show value in the over. Obviously, I show value in the under on the Chargers and Broncos, and slightly the Chiefs. So I do show value in the over in the Raiders. I think they're underrated. The hope here is they had awful turnover luck last year. Like one of the worst fumble recovery percentages you'll ever see. Like 23%. They were hurt. Turnovers were bad. Their offensive line was hurt. They had no running game. The quarterback play was bad. A lot of that is fixed. And here's the thing. Here's the hope for them. Because what Graham's going to do is he's going to play very conservatively on the back end with what he has. That's what he's been doing. They're going to go all out trying to prevent explosives and then make you drive the field and then try to get sacks with their D-line or get turnovers, which they're overdue for. So, like, that's the hope. Prevent explosives, get those sacks, get that overdue turnover regression, and then the offense, I think, can hang with most teams. So that's the goal. I think their ceiling is like a wild card. It's a very tough division, though, and you're in the AFC. That's the ceiling. I do show value in the over. I think I'll probably get there, over 6.5. I kind of just want to see how the secondary plays out. And, yeah, it sucks they lost Wilkins, because then their defensive line would have been very special. Now defensive tackle is really weak, so the run D might take a hit. But, yeah, Pete Carroll historically been very good over bet. I show some value in the over. I think I'll probably be betting this team a lot this year.
Yeah, I think this team is a team that you want to bet week to week. I think they'll be underrated on the point spread because, again, I think their offense is underrated. If you kind of look at the look-ahead lines and back out into their projected points, they're near the bottom of the league. And I think they're right around 20 per game or something like that. And I think that's selling them short with Bowers, with Myers. They got Thornton, I think, being ahead of schedule and giving them a guy who can at least just go deep and take a defender out of the picture is big when you have like a Bowers, a Mayer, a Genty, a Myers. So I think their offense will be better than the market's rating them, and so I think they'll be undervalued on the spread. However, I think the reason it's a little shakier when it comes to the win total, which is why it is where it is because their schedule's still. Like if they don't hit the layups, I'm talking about Cleveland. You'd have to even put Tennessee in there, which I don't think the Raiders and Titans there's much difference in quality wise between those two teams. I think the Raiders are better, but I mean you still got a tough schedule at New England.
You got
Chargers
6 games against the Chiefs, Broncos, and Chargers.
Yeah, exactly. And then but you still got like at New England, at Washington. You play the Colts, but you're going to Indianapolis. And then you play the Jags at home, but we think they could be better. So you gotta beat Cleveland at home, and then you gotta beat the Giants at home late in the year. If you can hit your layups, you probably even then. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you're surrounding those games. At the Eagles. It's not an easy schedule. At Houston, they play all the toughest teams in the AFC. So and Dallas could be better. I think
there's a reason I haven't got to the window yet, but yeah. I will.
Okay, let's go. What you got?
What's that?
Let's go. Let's go there. What you got?
Got what?
What's the reason?
Oh well, I mean, I'm going to be betting the under on the Raiders, and no, I was just saying I agree with you that there's a reason.
Oh.
But I'm saying I'm gonna have under on Broncos and Chargers, so in a way,
yeah,
that is correlated with my thoughts that the Raiders are going to be better. So I have some exposure on the Raiders, or I need the Raiders to take care of business against those teams at least once.
Honestly, if you're low on both of those teams, I would just go ahead and bet the Raiders over because at that point, if you're thinking they can go split or go 3-1 against those teams, and you have Giants at home, Browns, you know, and you have Titans at home, I think you probably get there. But it's like, for me, I still think the Broncos are going to be 2 losses, and the Chargers, I mean, it could go either way, but I think they're more of like a 500 team. But I agree. I think the Raiders are going to be undervalued week to week on the point spread, because I think their offense is going to be unless they. Well, no, they're not. See, so they start the year at New England, and then they go home to face the Chargers. 2 could be solid defenses, should be solid defenses, but they have a low floor. So I wonder how fast the market adjusts. Like,
the market. Look, everyone loves the Patriots. Say they're going to the playoffs. The Patriots are that. As of we're talking right now, 2.5 point favorites at home against the Raiders.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough one. What would you? So you saying you would bet the Raiders in that situation if you had to choose?
Let me see what I project.
I would still bet the Patriots at 2.5, but at 3 it just becomes.
I think it went down to 2.5. I think it got bet.
Yeah, because I think 3 is about the right line. Just considering, I think both of these teams, there's a lot of newness in a way, but the fact that the Raiders did retain Graham, I think the biggest kind of cause for concern with the Raiders overall would be that this is like an older coaching staff, you know, Kelly, Carroll, Graham, you know, do they have enough to, you know, maximize his talent?
I project 2.
2.
So if I got 3, I might take it. 3.5, 100%. But yeah, I project 2.
So you don't have much difference between the Patriots and Raiders at all, then, power rated.
What's that?
You don't have much of a power rating difference between the Patriots and Raiders at all.
Nope.
It's essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
like a point.
Yeah. I project. And the only reason that. So, like, I project the Raiders to win 7, the Pats to win 8, because the Patriots' schedule is so much easier in a much easier division. But, less than a point.
Yeah.
Difference.
Yeah, it's. I think ultimately the Patriots start slow anyway.
Spread is now.
Yeah.
It's close. I'm a little higher than the market on the Raiders. And I think the market is a little too high on the Patriots. But if I get a 3, I might take it. But we'll see. I got to see how the secondary comes together.
But you do like the Raiders over 6.5.
I do, yeah. I project a tad over 7.
Yeah, I think for me, I think the bet in the division that stands out to me the most is the Chargers under 9.5, because I think if the Raiders get there, I think it's more likely to be at the Chargers' expense. I think the Broncos are set up better than the Chargers to withstand the kind of things that have been happening to the Chargers, unfortunately.
Yep.
All right, let's jump over to the North. Start with the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, one of the best passing seasons ever in the NFL, and they find a way to fall short in the playoffs yet again. But I mean, small sample. Lamar Jackson still excellent. This team roster building excellent. 11.5 is the win total. What do you think about that? And just the kind of trajectory of this team? Do they get over the hump finally?
I mean, the thing is, people want to like Lamar Jackson has to be better in the playoffs, but like it's such a small sample, and like just randomness. When the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2012 with Flacco, that was their worst team over like a stretch of like 6 years. Their defense was all old and washed, and Flacco just got in. He got hot, and they beat Luck, Brady, Manning, and then Kaepernick and the Niners. Like there's a lot of luck in the NFL, and the Chiefs are really good. The Bills are really good. It sucks because the last 2 years I had them power rated number 1 at the end of the year, and they didn't even get to a Super Bowl. And it's funny, in the division, the only starting quarterback in the AFC North that has not gone to a Super Bowl is Lamar Jackson.
That's nuts.
So, yeah, I mean, their offense was awesome last year. What else can you say? And they faced the hardest schedule of opposing defenses, and their offense was that elite. What am I worried about this year? Number 1. And by the way, if you look at DVOA, the last 2 years, they were the 5th and 7th best team of all time, and they didn't even get to a Super Bowl. Yeah, they went 12-5 last year. They should have went 12-5. Can they win some close games? Can they get some takeaways? I'd like to see that. Like that's kind of been the missing pieces. The penalties, they were unlucky there. There could be some regression. Like if you just look at like subjective penalties, they were pretty unlucky. Their special teams also the first time they were outside the top 10 since 2011. They dropped off there a bit. They were like a bottom 10 special teams unit. New kicker, Luke.
I like Wester.
Wester is electric returner.
I like him a lot.
So we'll see how with a new kicker does in Baltimore. But the offense, the only thing I'm worried about the offense and the team in general, because I still have them power rated 1, is health. They were number 1 in adjusted games lost on offense and defense last year. So is there injury regression? We're already seeing that. Isaiah Likely, when's he going to be ready? We'll see. So I worry about the health of the team a lot. Like a lot. Keeps me up at night, even though I don't sleep. It would keep me up at night if I did at this point in the season. But what I worry about, offense, the guards, maybe. Like, you lost McCarry, so I'll watch the guards. But, like, as long as they're healthy, this offense is probably the best in the NFL. Like, there's not much to nitpick. Yeah, they added Hopkins, who's probably washed, but, like, who cares? They run a lot. As long as Likely and Andrews are healthy, like they're gonna. You got Mitchell too, who could contribute.
Wester Walker's year, like they could have somebody step into
they
that
run
role.
like more 2 tight ends and 6 offensive linemen. They don't use a ton of 3 wide receivers, so like who cares? So yeah, I want to watch just the health of the offensive line. Voorhees at left guard, but the offense can be really good. Defense, they should be really good. They turned it on last year, and they made some changes pretty much about week 11. They were really bad pass defense. They were number 1 pretty much the rest of the way. What they did is we talked about this ad nauseum on this podcast last year, but they moved Humphrey to slot. They moved Hamilton back to deep safety. Communication changes. Washington went in at safety. They got Marcus Williams out of the lineup, and everything changed. Well, Washington is out for the year, which is a big loss. Not enough people are talking about. They need Starks to hit at safety, and they need Starks getting back to health. They need Starks, Humphrey, and Hamilton to stay healthy. The depth at safety is bad, so they can't have a safety. They need Starks to hit, and they need them to stay healthy. Outside corner, I like, but like Will Alexander, like he's already now hurt already. So is that what we're gonna be doing all year? If he's healthy, if the whole secondary is healthy, it's just like all 1st-round picks. This entire, like it would be so nasty. But how much can you count on Alexander? Probably not much. Like my hope for the Ravens is that who cares? Play 7 games and then be healthy for the playoffs is when you get healthy Alexander. But that cornerback 2 spot, maybe it's Kawuzie would be fine. But like the depth overall at safety specifically is a little questionable. They're going to run a ton of because you need D-backs. We're going to rush 4, a lot of disguise, simulation, light boxes. Use a lot of 5 and 6 defensive backs. So injuries are just huge for this unit in particular. But I like Wiggins. I like Starks, but I need to see it. Linebacker is meh, but you're like it's going to be just Roquan out there most of the time. Defensive line, I like the addition of Mike Green. I think that was a steal. I think that the draft was excellent again. So yeah, defense just stay healthy. I want to watch some of the secondary positions. They got to stay healthy in the secondary. Watching Starks, what will Alexander give them? Will he stay healthy? Because if he's like healthy and you're not going to be able to throw on this team if their entire secondary is healthy. And their run D is going to be good. So and they can do that with a light box. This is the best team in the NFL in my opinion. But it's got to stay healthy. And there are some questions, as there are with every team. You look at their schedule, it's tough early. 5 of the first 6 versus playoff teams before their bye, and then the schedule really lightens up. The hope is that they'll be healthy going into the season. Then you can deal with some maybe overdue injuries when their schedule eases up. because like at Buffalo, huge game right off the bat. Like, will likely play. Will they be healthy everywhere? And then they're obviously at KC too. So at Buffalo, at KC, those are your two potential tiebreaker games. You got to go on the road for both. Not going to be easy, but yeah, it's going to be one of the best teams in the NFL. I project them 11-7. So I'm right on market. Watching health. That's my biggest thing. And then a couple guys in the secondary, how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, we're nitpicking here. It's just one of the best teams in the NFL. Probably be in the mix. Like the floor is 9 or 10 wins if it's not a disastrous injury situation.
Yeah, I have a Super Bowl ticket on them. I think this is another team you want that Super Bowl ticket. You want that upside with this team. I don't necessarily love the AFC North, just only because I think the Bengals could bounce back. You know, there's some uncertainty there. Probably not, but I think there's at least a chance. And then the Steelers always find a way to be around. If the Ravens have injury issues, I don't want to weigh minus 170. It's not a terrible price, but I think I still want the upside with this team. I just think Lamar Jackson is so good. And we talked about depth. I think depth on the futures market, they have a lot of
secondary is where I'm worried about the depth, but
I mean, I think it's actually solid. I mean, I know Washington went down, but
safeties, if Starks doesn't hit or like Hamilton gets hurt, you're talking about an enormous.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Drop off.
You know, they'd sign somebody old, like some guy that was nice in like 2000.
Yeah, they'll probably bring in a vet, but like the Marcus Williams experiment was a disaster. By the way, the Raiders should sign like a vet corner or something.
Seriously,
going back to them, but yeah, they're a very deep team overall. But
I think a little deeper than they've been in past years. So,
yeah.
but Lamar just gives them such a floor ceiling nowadays.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they underperformed for how good he played last year. So, yeah,
this team hasn't lost by more than 7 in like 3 years.
Yeah, they're going to be there. It's just Buffalo has an easier schedule by way of playing in the AFC East. So I think Buffalo's a better bet for the number 1 seed. The Ravens, you know, they got to deal with Pittsburgh twice a year, and you know Cincinnati's offense, but team wise, I do think they are better than the Bills.
Yeah, I would like for that week 1. I think it is actually critical if likely plays or not. Because where can you attack the Bills? Like I had all the likely props in that game last year.
Yeah.
You could just attack the Bills safeties, middle of the field. So I think that's worth monitoring if likely is back in time for that game specifically, which could decide like the tiebreaker and the ones.
Yeah, I mean that'd be ridiculous, but I like the way that, you know. I mean they also faced the Lions in week 3, and I know we're kind of down on the Lions. We'll talk about that in our NFC pod, but. Just a lot of, and then they face Houston in week 5, which is another one of those teams in the AFC thought to be in that second tier. So they face a lot of good teams early on. If they can get through those, you know, even with a winning record, I mean, this team's off to the races. So
hosting Goff in Baltimore, that'll be
yeah, true. I'm still an interesting game though. All right, let's go to the Bengals. And the Bengals, I mean,
is it worth even spending time on this team?
What?
We know
how much will the defense hold them back?
Yeah, I mean, they're
9.5.
Elite offense. They're just running it back on offense. They paid all their guys. They're going to have new guards, so they could be a little better.
Mitchell Tinsley, baby, Mitchell Tinsley.
Yeah, maybe they should have not signed Higgins. They had Tinsley and they get someone on defense.
Seriously.
But yeah, Bolson and Kappa were terrible at guard last year, so. You could have 2 rookies starting, so maybe it's worse, but there's probably more upside now with Rivers and Fairchild. They added Patrick, too, but he's hurt right now. So, I mean, the offense is going to be great as long as they stay healthy. It's the defense. Like, the defense was so bad last year, and they played an easy schedule, and it was that bad. And, like, they might lose the only 2 players who were good on that D last year. Hilton was good in nickel. And Hendrickson had, what did he have? 17 and a half, 8 sacks. The rest of the team had like 18.
Carried.
What's going on with Hendrickson? They cannot draft on the defense. They can't hit. And I don't like their draft this year either. So like all that adds up. Like look at all the busts that they have that they now need to count on. And if Hendrickson's not there, like the hope is you bring in Al Golden You're probably going to have more like 4-3 base, less D-backs on the field, more man. Can you do that with who? I mean, can Cam Taylor-Britt regain form? Can DJ Turner be a good corner? Hill probably moving the nickel. Can these guys be the guys? The personnel in this D is so bad because they haven't been able to draft. They had to pay their offensive guys. And if you don't have Hendrickson, who it sounds like is going to get traded, it's bad. So what does that mean? This team could beat anyone on any Sunday. They also could lose to anybody. And hopefully, if you're a Bengals fan or you bet the over, they don't start out bad. They host the Jags and they're at the Browns. They start out bad every year, and it costs them. Could cost them the win total, could cost them playoffs. But Taylor's 1-11 in his first 2 games in Cincinnati. So what does that mean? They're going to be able to score on anybody if they're healthy. I don't even know what Golden can do. They're not going to stop anybody. I mean, watching them in preseason is vomit-inducing when their first team's out there. So what does that mean? They're going to be in a ton of shootouts and a ton of one-possession games, and there's like just a ton of variance. There's going to be a ton of coin flips. And are they have a good year in one-possession games? They have a bad year? Turnovers? How does the ball bounce for them? Does the special teams, does it bounce back this year? Kicker? So I don't know. There's got a ton of coin flips. So like the win total for me at what is it at 9.5?
Yeah.
Like feels right. Like their offense gives them a high floor. I mean, I project them 9-2. So I can't go over. I don't want to bet against them. I don't want to bet on them. I don't think they have the defense that can get them through the AFC and win a Super Bowl. I think they're too far away. You got to remember, when they got to the Super Bowl, they had a top 10 defense that year. This is the bottom 5 defense. I don't see how it could. Defenses are I talk about this on both ends. Defenses are very inconsistent year to year. So they could improve. Like, could they be average? That's all they need to be. I just don't see the path. And if you don't have Hendrickson, and what is the path of this defense? Like, everyone has career years, and I don't know. So it'd just be a ton of
it would just be one of those defenses, like kind of like the Chargers, where it's just well schemed and they kind of get by and beat, so like their offense keeps,
don't allow explosives play.
Yeah,
like that's not even how Golden played. Like, so I don't know. They could beat anyone on any day, and they could lose to anybody, and it could be a ton of coin flips. Their offense can be elite, defense can be bad, most likely, and we'll see how many of the close games they win and if they can actually get off to a good start. That's their season. Schedule gets much harder. Bottom 5 last year, top 10 this year.
Yeah, but you know what's going to happen, right? Their win total is going to come down to the last 3 games, where they're probably, and their playoff hopes probably too. They're going to be desperate. They'll probably be like, what would that be? Like 7-7 or something like that. And then at Miami, Arizona, home for Arizona, home for Cleveland. They'll have to go 3-0. Everyone will think they'll do it, and they'll probably go like 1-2 and the playoffs or something silly like that. And
they'll probably lose to the Browns week 1. Like that's the type of game that a team with a horrendous defense in division on the road week 1, especially the Bengals. But at least Burrow's like healthy now to start the year. He never is usually.
I mean, barely, because you see how many times he gets sacked.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals ultimately. Right. What's up?
I think the win total's right.
I think it's right. I think the best bet for the Bengals is either a long shot, Super Bowl, AFC, or take a shot on them at the division. They are plus 280. Again, the Ravens are clearly the best team, but we know what the Ravens do. They get hurt. They play with their food sometimes in games. So if the Ravens stumble, if Lamar misses time, the Bengals are still, I think, just because of their offense in position. The Steelers, let's talk about them. I mean,
by the way, what are the Ravens Bengals totals going to be? 70?
Right. I mean, it depends how many how many people on the secondary for the Ravens are out, which is going to be high. But the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, Caleb Johnson is playing with the 3rd string, so that's weird. And then they got Aaron Rodgers, but the defense always tends to be good. But I mean, are they a floor team or a ceiling team? Like, this is going to be the year they finally go under that Tomlin winning 500, or are they just going to be the same kind of team where they're going to be an annoying 9-10 win team and flame out in the first round?
I project now updated 8-2. Not enough to go under, thank God. I don't want to deal with going against the Tomlin voodoo.
Yeah, win total's 8.5, like even money, pretty much both directions.
What's probably going to happen is what happens every year. They'll start off hot and then fade. I mean, they're scheduled the first 6. The quarterbacks they face in the first 6 games are Fields, Darnold, May, McCarthy, and Flacco. Then the schedule gets brutal. They're one possession merchants. But they've been that every year. Turnovers, they're plus 42 the last 5 years, plus 16 last year. Only team that's had a positive turnover margin the last 7 years. I don't know how they do it, but they do. They'll always force turnovers in key ways. Can Boswell be the best kicker in the NFL still? I mean, he's 34 now. He was unbelievable last year. That helped them in close games in the way that they play. But Tucker had his drop off at 34. That's what Boswell is now. They need him to be good. Defense, like, the front 7 is going to be really good, even though I would not have paid Watt what they gave him, but you kind of had to. You got Thornhill for Fitzpatrick. It's kind of a wash. It's a little bit of a downgrade, but I think Fitzpatrick was on the way down. You had Ramsey. It's weird because Ramsey's probably going to play nickel, but like I thought they liked Bishop, and I thought he showed some good things, but he might get cut. Like they're running Eccles as the backup nickel.
I mean, that's probably a good thing because their secondary was shaky, and now they have. I mean,
but they added
Thornhill, Slay,
Porter. It's an aging D overall, but their defense should be solid. I think their offense. It's just all like. You flip Metcalf, you flop Pickens for Metcalf. I think that's an upgrade. Just locker room alone. You had Jonnu Smith. It's Arthur Smith. You had to add Jonnu Smith. Probably going to be a lot of 2 tight end stuff. It's all about the offensive line development and then what Rodgers is and what does he have left. Was last year more of just his age? Partly how much was it injury? But, you get Faltano back from injury. Jones moves to left tackle. They've been investing draft picks in the offensive line. Can that offensive line take that next step? And then what does Rodgers have left? But I don't know. I mean, they're probably going to voodoo their way. They're going to steal a couple games. They're going to win the turnover battle. They're going to be good in one possession games. Boswell, if he's as good, like they'll help him win those close games. And they're probably going to finish 9-8.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh is still annoyingly better than the market thinks they're going to be. I would go over their win total. Now that I'm looking at their schedule, they have some tough spots. I mean, they have Buffalo at Baltimore, and at Detroit, and then they finish up with Baltimore. But that's week 18, so they might get a break there. But I think Mason Rudolph with this squad can probably still win games for them. Like as long as the defense stays healthy. And that's the big key because the offense, it's just kind of the same offense. They just replaced Najee Harris with Johnson and they replaced Pickens with Metcalf. And I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, the Jonnu could be an X factor if he's healthy because he is hurt right now. But because Arthur Smith does get a lot out of him, and it seems like Arthur Smith, they were really aggressive targeting Jonnu, which little head scratching just because I feel like they could have used a wide receiver probably, but they have. If Roman Wilson or
give him anything, or is he done?
Yeah, because Austin got better as the year progressed too, but now he's hurt. So there's some. It's not a lot. Like I still think they're kind of a capped ceiling team. I don't think they get to the a chance to play for the conference title or the Super Bowl, but I think they get over that 8.5 win total, whether it's Rodgers or they end up having to go to a vet. With that defense, I mean, I don't think Rodgers is good enough for him being potentially, let's say he misses a lot of games or he's like even more of a shell of himself than he was last year. Like, I don't think his level of play is high enough for that to be a big downgrade if they have to ultimately change quarterbacks or whatever. It's about the defense and Tomlin. So yeah. I think they go over the win total, but don't want anything to do with them once they actually get to the playoffs. Cleveland, more pain. They're going back to the Stefanski offense. They have I don't know. They have 4 quarterbacks or they have no quarterbacks. And
I told you Flacco was going to start. By the way,
yeah. No, I mean I still think it was a good bet to fade. I mean, there's 4 quarterbacks on the roster, and everyone was hurt. Like everyone got hurt in the preseason except Flacco, the oldest guy. But their win total is 5.5. You see some 4.5s juiced up at some spots. Thoughts on the Browns prospects for 2025 with this quarterback situation?
I think they're better than the market thinks. I show value in their win total over. I project them to win a hair under 6 games. But do I want to bet? I have 5.8 is what I project them at. Do I want to bet they're over? Probably not. Because, for one, that's assuming, like, I'm assuming Flacco and that they don't just go to the rookies, which is probably what's going to happen.
We don't know who's going to start a quarterback when.
Yeah. So what they start off with: Cincy at Baltimore, Green Bay at Detroit, Minnesota overseas, and it's their second straight game overseas. Home the next week at Pitt without a break. Can you get any harder first 6 games? So if they're 0-6, then they're just going to go to Sanders and Gabriel, and who knows what you're going to get. So, like, and this team could quit, and who knows. So I don't know. I show value in the over, but I don't think I can get there. The offensive line has potential if they're healthy, which is the major question. That's with a lot of guys. The weapons are bad. It's like, it's how many times can you throw to Judy? Now they're going back to the old Stefanski offense. It's going to be more 2 tight end sets. I love Fannin. I'm going to bet like Fannin for fun, anytime touchdown every week. In week 1, Fannin is scoring against the Bengals, by the way. But like, so they were going to they want to be like more run heavy, but Judkins is probably not going to play for them. So like, that hurts.
You think he's still not going to play at all?
I mean, he's not signed yet, and they're looking to add a running back, is what I'm hearing. So that doesn't, like, they're in the market now from guys I know from close to the Browns. That's not a good tell that they're trying to trade for a running back. Like, they're looking in Washington and with Robinson or elsewhere.
That is odd considering they doubled up on, like, why isn't Sam, and they have a holdover in Ford and they have Samson, so it's like,
are you asking
why are they looking for a running back still?
Why about the Browns? Never.
No, I know. I'm saying, question. Roster building. They've lost the plot. Roster building, in my opinion.
Yeah, everything got ruined with the Watson thing, and so strength. The schedule's really hard, obviously. But last year, I mean, they were bad across the board. They had bad injury luck. They were minus 22 turnover margin. The quarterback play can't get any worse. The defense had a really down year. Everyone in the secondary had like their worst year, but then you lost Emerson. He's out for the year. Nickel, so he can't bounce back. You do need one new safety. Ward is now dealing with an injury. So, like, the secondary has potential.
Newsome too.
Yeah, Newsome. So, I mean, they went from a top 5 pass D to a bottom 5 pass D in 1 year. But the back 7 depth is really shaky. So, like, with these injuries already, that's scary. They only had 4 interceptions last year, the 5th team since the merger to do that.
That should regress.
And,
one way or another.
The D-line should be able to get pressure, but there's just a lot of unknowns. And I don't know how this is all going to play out because they good chance they start 1-5, and then it's like, okay, here, rookies go so we can see you fail and then get the number 1 pick next year. So I'd show value in the over, but no interest.
Yeah, because, I mean, the thing is,
I'll probably bet for week 1.
Yeah, I was about to say this could be a team that I think you have to know who's at quarterback to, and then you can kind of make your decision on, okay, this is the matchup now. But even if their win total adds up to a little higher than the market, it's like, first of all, these are just win probabilities added up. So it's not like they still have to win the games and they're still essentially underdogs. Pretty much throughout the season. So yeah, I think it's still going to be bad. I just think I think it's more. I don't think it's on Stefanski as much. I think he's just he's had to kind of deal with this roster deteriorating and make do. Yeah, but yeah. Because you look at the draft, I thought was odd. I mean, if Hunter hits, it's going to look even worse. And then to then double up on quarterback. To have 4 quarterbacks competing for a job and you're still starting Flacco somehow after all that. You double up on running backs, and yet now the guy doesn't sign and you're still looking for another running back. And it's just an odd. You signed Deontay Johnson, bad locker room guy. Now you sign Bond after, like, it's just like one thing after another. just bad optics, but also just bad, I think, roster building. So I don't think this team is going to be very good at all, and I think it's probably going to be a 2 to 3 win team, honestly. What's up?
They could be dogs in every game.
Oh yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, they could add up, if you add up all your projected win probabilities to, higher than 4.5 or 5.5 even, but they have to win those games. I just don't think they're going to win enough. All right, let's recap. What do you like? AFC West and then AFC North.
Broncos under, but I don't love it as much as I did earlier in the season, but numbers still show it. I like the Chargers under much more now. And like the Raiders over. AFC North. Do I have anything? Ravens no, Steelers no, Bengals no. I lean Browns over. I show value Browns over, but probably not playing it. So no, I got nothing in the AFC North.
Yeah, I still have a Super Bowl ticket on the Ravens. I still think that big three, Buffalo, KC, Baltimore, it's going to be.
I'll be looking to add the Ravens.
Yeah,
during the season. They're probably going to get injured at some point, lose a couple games, and then I'll be looking to get in.
Yeah, and I do still like the Steelers win total over, but that's more of a, because I don't think Rodgers actually makes as big of a difference. Like if he can't go or is just terrible, like I don't think that impacts it that much. I mean, they've done this with Kenny Pickett, they've done like Mason Rudolph even, so like that. And then I think if you're looking for division winner, I think I still don't want to lay anything more than I don't even want to lay even money with the Ravens. I still think it's because there's 3 teams that could be good and the Browns could be so bad.
Do you want to hear an NFC East stat for the AFC North?
Well, yeah, give it to me.
No team has ever won the AFC North 3 times in a row.
And the Ravens
they've won twice.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, it's got Bengals, and then hey, I mean, I like the Bengals because I think they have more upside because of Burrow. They also have a lower floor. I still think they're better division bet, but that the second best, I guess, has to be the Steelers, which sucks. But overall, I do think the Steelers are a little undervalued in terms of the win total market. I think the Bengals have a very low floor but a very high ceiling. And then the Browns, if gun in my head, I'd still go under. I just think they're going to be bad across the board. I just think the roster building, it's already showing its ugly face. It's been showing it, and it could get worse from here. So, yeah. AFC West, Chargers under for me too. Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us for today's episode of the Action Network podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Keep an eye out for our NFC preview episodes. We'll do a 2-parter for that as well. Our AFC part 1 is also live right now, so be sure to subscribe to the pod if you haven't already. You can find Stuck on X at Stuckey2. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until the NFC episodes, let's get this money.
Let go.